Today we are gonna highly expand out on my existing farm right here. Gonna get rid of this one altogether, and we want to go much bigger, and I want to move it underground. Now, crops, of course, do require sunlight, so what do you need to do to move it underground? Well, the first thing we want to do is just understand how it works. It's not every single tile needs to have that opening up above to let the sunshine in. And then additionally, there's blocks that are like bars or glass, etc., that allow sun to travel through. So let's picture for a moment that this block represents an opening in the ceiling where sun can get through. The sun is going to reach for crops 7 blocks in every direction, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then another 7 in every direction. Now, this does not create a circle, it creates more of a diamond. So if you go ahead and attach all of these blocks together from the 7 tiles out, and you do this all the way around, you're going to create a diamond shape that would represent the growable area having one open tile up above. So in this example, from having that one open tile up above, you're going to be able to farm anywhere inside of that entire perimeter. Now, this no doubt will make you a nice growing space off of just one sun access tile. However, it is not going to meet everyone's needs and is certainly not going to work out for my particular purposes. Now, with that in mind, there are blocks that the light or sun will pass through, using things like bars, for example, putting them as the block at the top. It is going to allow the sunlight through. So with that in mind, if your ceiling when you're underground was just covered in bars, out any issue. Now, thematically, that may not meet your needs for the design that you're going for, as you might want your ceiling to your underground area to be an entire flat surface, something like this right here. Now, with that in mind, there are other blocks that allow light through. Now, if you're a fan of looking through the actual game files, if you're a PC player, and you want to look at all of the documentation in the XML files itself, you will see there is a value on every block that says light opacity. Now, light opacity 0 is something that the bars have that allow 100% sunshine to come on through. With that in mind, there are quite a few other blocks that are going to allow sunshine through as well. Now, I personally use this one all the time, the cube 1mm hole. And when we place it down, obviously there's a big hole in the middle. It's going to allow the sunlight to come through that block. Now, one important thing to note there is if you place this sideways, it's still going to allow all the sunlight to come through the block, yet is going to give you a top surface that you can paint over, and no one will even know that you've got something hiding down below. A few years ago, a YouTuber named WaywardEko did a video going through all these blocks, and it looks like his documentation is still true. I will put a link to the video down in the description. Is an image that he put together with all the blocks that have light opacity 0. So knowing that this block does allow light to travel through, we're going to head on over to what I got started on so far and build out our underground farm. A couple important things to note: you're always going to need 3 blocks up above if you're planning on planting supercorn, which I'm sure everyone is. That is the height of a fully matured supercorn plant, so you're gonna have to make sure it has at least those 3 blocks. So in this example, I gave it 4 just to have 1 extra before I hit my ceiling. Now, just like for planting, light opacity also applies to solar, so there's no reason to have your solar panel up in the opening, and you see up above I used that same type of block to cover up my solar panels. So you can have solar panels down below underground and completely hidden, but still get the full value out of them. Now, if you're not someone who likes to dig through the XML documentation, you can very easily test whether or not a block has the light opacity that you're going to be looking for without expending any resources at all. Everything in here in this little test is going to be completely refundable. And we're going to do that by building a little enclosure. This is just all with normal building blocks and placing a planter inside. Now, in this situation, we have no light opacity. We're completely blocked in. Do make sure you fill in your doorway as well, as there will be light that can pass through it. And we are completely blocked in with no light now other than our torch. Now, if I go to plant a potato seed, we see it's red. It's not going to allow me to plant it. Now, if I just knocked out that center tile up above, and now it does let me plant the potato. So I see that by just allowing that one block of sunshine up above, it is going to give me the ability to plant. Now, you can test the block design you want to use by just going and choosing the block that you're looking for and placing it up in that hole. So here we've got that that cube 1 meter hole block, and we're going to throw it up above. And now when we go to plant, we see it's going to allow us to plant. So you can do this basic setup to test any single block in the game to see if it's going to work out for your build without going in and spending any resources or having to look at any documentation. So everything here, you're going to be able to just pick back up and get your resources back. So literally everything in this setup, you can just pick back up and move along. So let's go ahead and slap a lid on this underground growing area and see what it looks like. And here we go. We got our full cover in place, and now we've got a full roof to our ceiling. Now, the way to build this out, to build structural integrity, you're not going to be able to just place block across the middle of your gap, as they just can't support themselves. So you need to build the structural integrity out as you're going across. Now, you're going to do this by first off using the blocks that you're going to have the finished product with. Now, obviously, if you're doing something like this, if you place down regular wood blocks and then upgrade it, you're going to get just such a silly amount of XP. It's ridiculous. However, it's going to be quite tedious. It's going to take a ton of time. Additionally, the structural integrity is going to be different. So like here in this example, if I would have done with the building regular wooden building blocks, we've got a mass of 5 and a horizontal support of 40, meaning I could only put 8 blocks across. If you pre-craft, in this situation, concrete, this has got a mass of 10, meaning I could put 12 blocks across before having any structural integrity failures. Now, as you can see here, we do have everything that I wanted planted. Of course, everyone's got their own planting agenda. I went with super corn, regular corn, potatoes, mushrooms. And yeah, I know you don't have to put the mushrooms in a planter. You can grow those anywhere, but it looks nicer if I have it all organized. Then we went with some cotton, some chrysanthemums, because I do like to paint, and then coffee, as coffee is life. So we have given our crops a little time to grow, and they should all be ready for harvest. Let's jump down and check and make sure that they went through all of the proper stages and are now in their plant form. And there we go. We got our corn plants, our super corn, our potatoes, mushrooms, cotton, the chrysanthemum, and the coffee plant. So our crops are all ready to harvest. We've had one successful harvest rotation here, and this is all in this underground farm. Now, when it comes to doing an underground farm, there is one more important thing I wanted to note, and one of the big benefits of doing an underground farm is being able to build something cool on top of it. However, important thing to note there is there are going to be some structural integrity limits. As we have a serious decline in structural integrity on this platform, just from having such a large ceiling. If we want to build anything on top of it, now I personally plan on turning this area into a runway for my gyrocopter. If we wanted to build something on top of it, we would want to improve on that structural integrity. And the way to do that in a way that's non-invasive, as it's just so nice to have this big huge room here is to just play around with different blocks. So say we wanted to put a support pillar in right here in the middle, instead of going with a 4-block pillar, something like that, which would be a meaty support pillar all the way up, we can change the block type, not make it take up so much room, and still have the benefit of the exact same structural integrity. So if we take a look through and say like the corner poles here, so if we wanted to do something like that, we could then do that same setup using the corner poles, and then we're going to have the luxury of that 4-block support. So once again, this is basically the same as doing this. However, we have the benefit of it not being a huge eyesore, and additionally, we can still easily walk around those posts. So if you want to build on top, definitely add in some structural support down below, just to increase the building potential that you can do up above. So good luck everyone in their underground farming in 7 Days to Die. Hopefully this video was helpful, and I will see you next time around. Take it easy.